Hey guys, Joseph here. I've finally gotten around to my latest top 8, but before I get to the list proper, I need to get something off my chest. I love animation.
In fact, my earliest memories are of me sitting down watching an animated film. I have a great deal of respect for all the hard work and raw talent put into an art form that, nowadays, is almost considered solely for children's entertainment. So, I wanted to bring to the attention 8 of my personal favorite animated films. These are the films, in my opinion, that speak the most to me or that I have the fondest memory of.
Now, I cannot possibly list all the animated movies that I love watching, so it is very possible that your favorite might not even show up on my list. That being said, let's get into my top 8 favorite animated movies. One more thing before we get to the list. I need to give the rules that I gave for inclusion onto this list.
First, any style of animation was accepted. This naturally includes traditional and computer animation, but it also included stop motion. Second, a series overall could be counted as a single entry, but only the theatrically released series. And finally, the film needed to be a majority animated. This means that the crux of the film, the primary portion, must have been animated. It could be bookended by live action or spread throughout in small tidbits, but it must have been focused primarily on the animation.
With the rules out of the way, let's get started with
Number 8. Up. Now, all of you guys probably know why I would put this film on the list. The same reason anyone else has. The opening scene. And yeah, I would be lying if I said that wasn't a contributing factor. But besides the opening, the film itself is extremely moving and powerful. The story of a widower near the end of his life fulfilling an unkept promise to his wife is incredibly powerful to me. Add to that some genuinely funny moments and a uniquely complex villain, and it is an easy beginner to this list. But the film does have a few very weak parts that keep it from being any higher on the list. For one thing, the plot does kind of slow down the moment the talking dogs enter the picture. But despite this, Up is still a great piece and a worthy start to this list. Number 7. Kung Fu Panda and Kung Fu Panda 2. Without a doubt, the Kung Fu Panda series is on my list for the best martial arts movies. With spectacularly designed martial arts, a deep, complex story, with Kung Fu Panda 2 being superior to the first in my opinion, and not just one, but two three-dimensional antagonists, this leaves the Kung Fu Panda series a worthy contender on this list. Not to mention Oogway's passing and Poe's flashbacks help make this choice so easy all on their own. Kung Fu Panda, the best example of a modern wuxia film you will ever see.
You must believe.
Master!
Number 6. Beauty and the Beast. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the hell out of this movie. It is, in my opinion, among the sheer echelon of Disney films, and is probably the least flawed. Beautiful music, slick animation, and the most effective Disney romance ever made. You would think that that would make this much higher on the list. But this isn't a list of the best, only my favorite. And while I do enjoy watching this movie over and over, it just doesn't hold the same emotional memories that some of the other films on this list possess. That being said, Beauty and the Beast is still one of the greats.
Bittersweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong.
Number 5. The Prince of Egypt. Now, I already discussed this movie in length in an episode of Cinema in Review. It really is my favorite DreamWorks movie. As I said in the review of it, The Prince of Egypt is an extremely powerful character piece set in the biblical story of Exodus. Great music, a spectacular villain, and an extremely moving and emotional imagery truly make this an experience. I really don't have a lot more to add to what was already said about it, so I'll just move on to the next one, although if you want to know more, you really should check out my review of it. The Prince of Egypt. Epic characters for an epic story. Number 4. Fantasia and Fantasia 2000. Now, I do plan to do a review of these two one day, so I'll keep these short and sweet. Going back to Beauty and the Beast, in my opinion, Fantasia is one of the best animated movies ever made, but it is not my favorite. It mainly comes down to the fact that my emotional connection to this series is relatively recent. As a child, I really thought these movies were boring. The music was okay, but I wanted unique characters, a 3-act structure, and a memorable villain. It wasn't until I was much older that my appreciation for these two films rose to the level that they are nowadays. Now I feel that the movies are artistic marvels, and I anxiously await a Fantasia 3.
Come on, you know you want one as well, so long as the celebrity narrators stay the hell away from it.
The Fantasia series, the best damn concert you'll ever go to. Number 3. WALLE. During that one event in June that shall never be mentioned again, I stated that WALLE was my favorite Pixar movie. And that is so true. WALLE is, in my opinion, the most unique film in Pixar's lineup, primarily by the fact that it is almost entirely silent. I love silent movies. The General, Modern Life, and City Lights would be on my list of favorite movies. WALL-E is so reminiscent of Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp character, which is why he is so memorable to me. And while I do think that the film weakens once Eve and WALL-E go into space, the film never really forgets that it is, first and foremost, a love story, and a pretty damn good one, too. The dance scene is one of the most beautiful scenes Pixar has ever made. Oh, yeah, and this movie has Louis Armstrong music, and that just makes it all the better. WALL-E. If you haven't watched it yet, that should be your primary directive. Number 2. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Much like The Prince of Egypt, I've already reviewed this movie as well, so you all probably know my reasons for placing this movie so high. The soundtrack is the stuff of legends. The story is extremely dark for a Disney movie, and though the story is essentially that of The Ugly Duckling, it is one of the best Disney has ever made. But this movie just does not possess the degree of sheer nostalgia that number one has. As I stated in my review, this was a movie that I grew to love more as an adult than I did as a child. But, unlike the Fantasia series, I did enjoy this one to an exceptional degree when I was younger. I loved watching Hellfire when I was younger because of the imagery, because of the animation. But now that I'm older, the lyrics and themes speak to me far more, and land Hunchback in a solid place for number 2 on my list.
Sing the bells, 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 bells,
And my number 1 favorite animated film is The Lion King. Remember, I began this video with the statement that my earliest memory revolved around an animated movie. Yeah, this was the movie. The Lion King literally consumed my childhood. Growing up, I watched numerous films of all types, all ratings, and all genres, but none defined me more as a film fan than this did. The music is ingrained into my psyche. The story was deep and complex, with a good mix of comedy and drama. It had an awesome action sequence at the middle and end of the movie. The film is an animated epic in every possible meaning of the word. It also helped to introduce me to Shakespeare. I owe everything that I am as a film lover and a lover of culture in general to this movie. While I admit that this film does have some pretty bad parts, it just means way too much to me nostalgia-wise to put it anywhere but at the top. The Lion King, the very core of my film history and philosophy.
So that was my top 8 favorite animated movies. If you didn't like my picks or you have some of your own, go to my forum at itstailtime.proboards.com. Also, be sure to check out some of my other videos at Phoenix A Productions website. I'm Joseph Marks, and I'll see you guys next time.
Did you think that your feet had been bound by what gravity brings to the ground? Did you feel you were tricked by the future you picked? Well, come on down. All these rules don't apply when you're high in the sky, so come on